No matter the outcome of the presidential race, some are worried that civil unrest could break out, and people across the Bay Area are preparing. KPIX 5's Joe Vasquez on why this election is so different from years past.
What's going to happen Tuesday night? Nobody knows, but here in Union Square and across the Bay Area, there is a lot of concern that the unknown could turn to unrest. 2 days before the election, shops are boarding up windows and doors, preparing for the worst, even though police have said they don't have any specific intelligence that there will be problems on the streets. Today in San Mateo County, there was a rally on wheels for the president. Dozens of demonstrators waved flags from their vehicles and drove along El Camino Real, expressing their support for Donald Trump. Participants say it was peaceful. In fact, loud and peaceful is how I would describe the overwhelming majority of demonstrations we've witnessed throughout the Bay Area. People take to the streets, determined to have their voices heard. But after Tuesday, many are worried about what happens when one side loses and those supporters are not happy about the result. What if both sides square off against each other? Business owners say they're worried about a repeat of those incidences in June that devolved into looting and defacement of property. Much of that concern comes from the fact that President Trump has not fully agreed to a peaceful transfer of power if it turns out he loses the election.
We're going to go in the night of, as soon as that election's over, we're going in with our lawyers.
I think those are real concerns.
KPIX 5 political analyst Paul Henderson says the United States has a long tradition of peacefully handing power from one president to the next.
Leaders fighting election results is more reflective of dictatorships that we've seen in other countries. And we've seen that reversal or those shifts in power translate into military authority and civil unrest. And that could happen here as well. That's not what we want, but cities are preparing to make sure that their citizens are as safe as possible.
Henderson says there have been times when transitions between administrations were not very smooth, from Hoover to FDR, from Eisenhower to Kennedy. And that's why a law was passed in 1963, laying out the details to be followed for the transfer of power. But what happens if the law is ignored and there is fighting within the government?
I think where we're going to see those fights are in the appointment process of the heads of these federal agencies and in the courts.
Will all this plywood on windows prove necessary? Will the nation's divisions prove greater than the desire to unify after an election? We may begin to have some answers in just 2 days.